Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this Python commonly asked coding interview questions, we have been discussing about various problems that has been asked in interviews recent times. In that series, let's discuss about how to print asterisks in reverse pyramid pattern. Right. So in our previous video, we talked about how to print pyramid in an how to print pyramid pattern in a straightforward fashion, isn't it? So in the similar way, this is just little twisted. We have to just print it in a reversed pattern, right? When I say reverse pattern, I can show a sample image which I've grabbed a screenshot of. So this is how we are planning to bring our output. Like here, the n is 4. So we have 4 stars and then 3, 2, and 1 subsequently, right? So this is how we can print a pyramid in a reverse pattern, right? So reverse pyramid pattern. So let's see how we can solve this. So in order to solve this problem, in a programmatic fashion, so we have to concentrate on three different concepts here. So first we have to handle the number of rows. Handle rows, right? So how many rows you want to print is something you have to take into consideration. So you need a loop, outer loop for it. Second thing is, if you look at this pyramid pattern, so you have to so in the second line you can see there's a space. In the third line there's a couple of spaces. So we need to handle spaces when we have to reduce the pyramid, right? When we want to print it in a reverse pattern, right? And the second thing you have to do is you need to handle spaces. So this is another inner loop. Finally, we have to print the star. So we need another inner loop to print, right? So let's concentrate on these three different concepts so that we will have our reverse pyramid pattern printed, right? Now let me jump on to the actual coding, right? So as usual, we need to have a function called def pyramid reverse pattern. Let's have something called reverse pattern, and let's pass per number of rows to be printed as n. So let our n be 5 for now. Let our n be 5, and we have to I'm calling my function. Right now comes the actual implementation. So as I said, first we need to handle the number of rows, right? So here we have to print. So first, if you see here, we have n is 5, right? When we have n is 5, in the first row we will have 5 stars, and then 4, 3, 2, and 1, right? So let's try to write an outer loop for I in range n. So our number of rows is 5, right? So obviously we have to mention the number of rows, so which is n, comma. So we need to mention where we have to stop, right? So we have to stop it at 0, and this is the syntax of range. So we'll have the value of n here, and then we have to mention the stop increment and the actual increment. So the stop value and the actual increment here. So the stop value, we should stop whenever value is at 0, and we have to decrement by 1. So which means, so initially we will have 5 rows, and then 4, and then 3, 2, 1. So the value will be actually getting decreased. So this is how we have to handle the for loop, for outer loop, right? So the number of rows. So initially first we'll have 5 and then 4. Uh, so similarly we'll have different number of rows. So this is how we can handle our for loop. And when we jump on to next loop, so as I said, next we need an inner loop to handle the spaces, right? So how do we handle spaces is, so here first in our first line we don't have any spaces. In our second line we have one space, we have two space here, we have three space here. So if you can look at the value here, like, so the n is 4, right? In this example we had n is 4, so we had 4 stars. So in here we have only 3 stars. So if so the number of actual space is 1, right? So in order to get the actual value of spaces, what we need to do is I have declaring a for loop for j in range 0 comma n minus i. So n minus i, what we'll do is, so n will be the actual number of rows that we want to print minus value of I. So so in this the first step, what will happen is the value of n will be 0, so value of I will be 0, so there will be no spaces at all. In the next step, the value of n is 5 minus 1, sorry, 5 minus 4 will give you one space. 5 minus 3, 5 minus 2, 5 minus 1. Similarly, we have to handle the number of spaces, right? So I am having this value, the inner loop for j in range 0 comma, it will start with 0 and will end at the n minus 1th value. Okay, so first it will be 0 comma n minus 1, next it will be 0 comma n minus the next value of I, right? First it will be 0 1 2 3. So this is how we can handle next inner loop to actually print the number of spaces, right? So what I have to print is, I have to print something called space, right? So I've printed that. So this is what I've handled here. Now finally we have to print it, right? So I need to have another loop for a in range. It will stop at value I, so 0 comma I. Now I have to print star, and we have to finally end it with another space. Since we have to come to next rows, I am printing it. So print slash r. So next. So now let me run this program. Now as simple as that. So this is how we can print the number of pyramids. This is how we can print the pyramids in a reverse pattern, right? Reverse pyramid pattern. And if I change the value of n, it will obviously print starting from 6 stars. So I'm going changing it to 6. So now we had 6 stars at the beginning, 5 4 3 2 1. Okay, so this is how we can print uh, no, reverse aspects in a reverse pyramid pattern. If you have to look into it very detailed, like if you have to understand what's happening at each and every step, what I would suggest is probably you can place a debug pointer and see what happens at each and every step, right? For maybe I'll just run and show you for a single or 2 or 3 iterations so that you will have a very clear understanding. I'm going to debug this program. It will stop here. Let me come to the console. Oops. Yeah, and I'm going one step by one. So first view for I in range n comma 0 comma minus 1. So totally we have 6, right? So value will be 6. So I is 6 here. Next, once I click on next, it will go to our next loop, which is for k in range 0 comma I. So first it will now you can easily look at each and every value, like what is the value of I, what is the value of k, what is the value of n. For each and every iteration, wherever it is eligible, it will show you the values then and there. So in the first iteration it printed a star, right? So what happened is, so first it went to the outer loop for I in range n comma 0 comma minus 1. So this is where you have your outer loop. So now what happened is it came into this particular value. So first you do not want to print a blank empty space, right? So for the first value, it will not go inside this loop and directly jump into this actual inner loop, like for k in range 0 comma I, and interpreted the star. So let me run and show the next iteration. So I'm clicking on step over. Now the k value is 2, it printed another star. K value is 3 and it printed another star. K value is 3. So now 6 stars is present. Now, so since my n value is 6, it printed 6 stars at the first. And then once the iteration is done, it will come to the next row. So if you look at this, here everything is done, right? So the value of k is 5. So it printed everything in first row. Now it will come to your next row and it will come to this next statement. Like it will come out of the loop and come and print the next row. Yeah, it came to the print next row option. Yeah, so now it came to the next row. Now if you can see, it will go into this particular inner statement to actually print the spaces. Yeah, now it went inside here. Now it print. Now the value of j is 0. Now it will print space. Yeah, now a space is printed. Next it will go into the actual k this loop. Next our inner loop to print stars, and it will start printing star. So this is how the each. If you have any doubts in your in this program, you can actually debug and see what happens at each and every step, so that you will have a very better understanding about what happens at each and every step and iteration. Right. So okay, guys. So maybe you can compare this with my previous program where we can print the asterisks in straightforward pyramid pattern with an reverse pyramid pattern, so that you will, once you differentiate and study, you will have a better understanding as well. Okay. Okay, guys. So that's what I want to cover as part of this video. In case if you have any queries, please post it into the comment section. Thank you.